So today it's going to be something a little bit different than I normally do. I'm doing an interview with my brother-in-law and good friend, Zapplin Lang, and he lives up in the Northwest, up in Washington State, and he's been a truck driver now for 2.5 years. So basically what I want to show here is that Walmart is a great job, but there are other jobs that are great out there, and you can get into them early on and make a good amount of money. And you never know. You could be as lucky as my brother-in-law and get weekends off and get home every night. Be a local driver. It just depends on where you live. And so I thought this was good information for my subscribers, just to know that you're not stuck with just regional or over the road or low wages. It really depends on where you live. So here it is. I'll go ahead and start the interview and enjoy. Okay, here we are today. Then first time I've ever had a guest on the channel here, and so let me introduce to you Zapplin Lang, which is my brother-in-law family, and also a good friend. And the unique thing about Zaplin is that he lives up in the Washington area, and he's gotten a job in Hazmat and has really taken off, like unbelievable. I'm super proud of him, everything he's done. And so today I wanted him on because I want to demonstrate for people that no matter where you live, there's these unique situations where you can get into the trucking thing and make a lot of money and have a great job pretty much out the gate. And that's kind of how it's happened with my brother-in-law here. So let me go ahead and introduce him. So here's Zapplin Lang. And so, hey, Zap, what's up, man?
Hey, Don, how you doing tonight?
Good. Day off. So I'm totally chill and relaxed here. And all
Same.
stressed about the road.
Same.
So tell us about yourself, just kind of where you're at and what you do and everything.
Sure. Well, as you said, I live up in the Northwest, Great Pacific Northwest, up in Washington. I actually live on Whidbey Island. It's a beautiful island up here, kind of right in the Puget Sound area, Deception Pass. And I technically live about 30 minutes away from the main refinery for the West Coast for the most part. The Anacortes refinery up here supplies fuel all the way down into California for tank farms and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's what makes it unique about you getting your CDL, because right in the area where you're at, this is like a major hub for fuel delivery and this kind of thing. And so when you first got your CDL, how were you aware of this is what you wanted, or there was a good job there, or just asking around?
Well, so let's backtrack a little bit. Before I got my CDL, I just drove a box truck a little bit down in Seattle, and that wasn't really my thing. Didn't like driving inside Seattle, but I eventually decided I wanted to get my CDL. And when I initially started looking at it, I thought I was going to need to go over the road. And I wasn't looking forward to that, but it would have paid the bills. It would have got, everything taken care of the family and all that. But when I was about halfway through my schooling,
yeah,
we had a big job board that was up there, and I was looking through everything that was local where I could be home every night. And They had nowhere near as many as over the road jobs. It was definitely a lot less than being local, but we did have some local stuff up here. Right. And what really drew my eye is I see these truck trailer tank wagon fuel trucks all over the place up here because of the refinery.
Tractor trailer, right?
Tractor trailer, correct. Yeah. Well, we also have tank wagons, but yeah, tractor trailers are the big guys, and that's what I drive. I drive the tractor trailer trucks.
Right.
And so I actually started asking around, and because at first I was looking at some jobs, and they weren't, some of the more local stuff was only starting out like $17, $18 an hour, and I was making more money where I was at. But once I started looking into hazmat and hauling fuel, propane, that kind of stuff, it really bumped up the pay scale. So, plus, the work around here is abundant because we are, like you said, a hub for the area, and there's a lot of different places that we deliver to. I go travel from basically Kent all the way up to the Canadian border in Sumas and areas like that. Um, but what got me into the fuel part of it, A, it was available, and B, the hazmat part really increased the value of my license.
Right. Right. And I tell people that all the time. I know you think you may not need hazmat, but it's better to have it than to not have it because it
Right.
opens you up to all these jobs. And so in the area you're in, I mean, it's really key to have it if you want to make good wages and go home every
Definitely.
night too.
Definitely.
And I think most people they're that way. They get into truck driving and they don't know anything about it. And they're like, well, I'm going to go home every night. I'm going to work all day,
Mm,
come home and get weekends off. Well, it's not really very realistic in areas like where
no.
I live at. It's not realistic unless you want to make $12, $15 an hour. I mean, you can go to McDonald's and make that at this point.
Right. Right.
Right. And so you got that right out the gate. I mean,
I
you
did.
had
I got hired right out of school.
right. Yeah, right out of school. That's kind of rare. That doesn't normally happen with people. Um,
Um, so I got lucky because I actually started doing this whole process right before COVID hit.
right.
And we went through a while where the school was shut down. Like we had just started, and a week later, society got shut down.
Yeah.
So I think that had a lot to do with the need for the fuel haulers up here because a lot of truck drivers were A, retiring, or
Yeah.
B, just didn't want to go back to work because of situations of
Right.
whatever circumstance they might have been in.
Right. Right. Well, it was a good opportunity, that's for sure.
Something.
So I mean, so you've been driving 2.5 years now, approximately, with your CDL anyway. And
Correct.
so I mean, you don't have to give us exact numbers, but I mean, what do you make about somewhere around 70, 80? You're under six figures for that first year, or
My first year, I pulled 72,000, and that
wow.
was no, excuse me, it was 68,000, and I pulled 75 last year.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it was 68 for my first year out the gate. But that's again, that was all in hazmat, and I wasn't. I think I started. Um, well, I see, I started halfway through the year, so it averaged out to like 68 because I had made. I started in the end of July, and my first year to date at the end of the year was like 30.
Uh-oh. I have an internet glitch here.
Yeah,
So you said your first year was what, 35 something?
uh, half the year I made 35,000 my first year, and my first
Oh,
full year I made 68,000, and then I made for my second year after 2.5 years. My year to date was at 72,000.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's super unique because I mean, you're a brand new truck driver. I mean, you're pretty much brand new for the first few years. That's how I look
right.
at it.
Well,
It's five
definitely.
years before you become, more regular. But so you're making great wages and you're home every night and you're home most weekends. Now you're home weekends all the
Now,
time, right? Yeah.
now I am. Yeah, I just got hired on with the tribal company, and they're starting a fleet on this side of I-90 Pass from
Yeah.
Yakima over to here, and I got lucky enough to jump in as the number two spot, so I was able to grab that weekend shift,
Oh
and
yeah.
I
That's
now
awesome.
make $8 more an hour than I did.
Yeah.
So, like last,
So with this new job, so you're possibly gonna do six figures this year.
oh, I definitely can, because I work Tuesday through Friday with the options to work overtime anytime I want. I did do an overtime day last Saturday, and I put 14 hours in. And when I added it up, it was like $750 I made that day.
Wow. Yeah, that's like double what good jobs make
Right,
in one day.
right.
So I'm hell. I don't think I've ever even made that much in one day. I mean, the best I can do is like five something,
Yeah.
on a good day. Um,
Well,
yeah,
that was a 14-hour day, and that was all overtime on my fourth day. I was already way into my overtime, but 14 hours got me like 750.
oh yeah, no, that's not bad. Well, I think most over the road drivers are doing 14 hours a day. Most truck drivers, I think.
Right.
So but they're
That's
not
what we do.
making that though.
Right. Yeah, I feel real lucky and privileged that I was able to land this, and I mean, yeah, I could be working a lot harder for a lot less.
Oh yeah, you could. Well, so people, a lot of my subscribers and different people have made comments or sent me emails, basically saying, "Well, there's other jobs out there." And I know there is. I don't put Walmart up as like the best job around. I mean, first of all, I'm not home every night and I don't get weekends off. So, right off the
But
top, you're ahead of me on that.
but you do 5 on, 5 off, so you work a lot less than I
Right, right. But, that scares people. But
do. Right.
the thing is that a lot of people say there's a lot of jobs and I go, "Well, true, but I mean, not it depends on where you live." Because I drive, 150 miles one way to go to work. I'm gone all week, and then I come back 300 miles per week
Right.
driving to
That's a
work.
lot. That's a lot.
And then there's do you get all the holidays off? If you're sick or whatever, they easy on you. Just what are the perks, insurances, and these kind of things, and just how they treat you and all that. And I know you're new at this new job. You just started here, what, a couple weeks ago or something?
Last week was my first week.
Right. So you're probably not totally aware of what's all going on just yet, but
Um,
you got an idea, I'm sure.
yeah, we have a 401k with a 5% match, full medical. It's a 25-75 split right now, but they're trying to work to get that to 100%.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Yeah.
I get 2 weeks vacation right out the gate that accumulates right out the gate.
Right.
So it basically breaks down to every third paycheck I get a day off. I think your vacation accrues the same way, right?
Pretty much, but every week we get probably over a day off. Yeah.
Right. So, well, that's just where it starts. And then I think after 3 years, I go up to 3 weeks off in accumulation. And they pay for all my FR gear. I mean, they give me a $200 voucher for gas to get back and forth to work. Uh,
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah.
cool.
Because since I live, well, where the truck's at, it's like about 45 minutes from where I live. So
Yeah.
I get a voucher for gas, unlimited overtime. I'm driving a brand new truck. I got a 2022 truck coming to me this week.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So the tribe's really taking care of us, and there is so much work out there. It's ridiculous. Like we could
Right.
probably take on 4 more drivers just over here, and still not have enough drivers for the work.
Right. And I think truck driving in general is kind of that way right now. It's like they can't get enough people.
Right.
I think the misnomer is they say that we're short on truck drivers nationwide. I think we're short on good truck drivers nationwide.
Yeah,
Is
I'm seeing a lot of young kids out on the road now. Like
yeah,
I know I'm new to it, and but I'm seeing a lot of the younger generation in the trucks. And I mean, yeah, I'm new to trucking, but I've been driving a vehicle my whole life, so I have a little bit more respect for the laws of the road because
yeah,
I'm seeing some of these young kids and they're tailgating. Like you're in an 80,000 pound rig, which
yeah,
is normal size, I think 80, 85 for you guys.
yeah.
Yeah, because I call 105.5, and but
Right. In Washington.
I'm still seeing these guys riding people's butts, and it's like they don't understand these trucks don't stop on a dime.
Right. Well, getting
So
in your career pretty quick too if you're driving crazy or not
yeah,
being safe.
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, I just the main thing I wanted to show people is that I know these other jobs are out here and here you are. I mean, you pretty much found it. I wasn't doing this well, not even close to this well when I first started driving a truck. And you just gotta work for it. I mean, you've
Yeah,
been working 14 hour days. You get to go home every night. You live in a particular area. People need to think about all this kind of thing and realize that it's possible. Because I've met a lot of people that live in your area, and they drive for some of these larger trucking companies, and the Swift, the Snyders, and things like that. And then I think to
Sure.
myself, why are you doing that? There's opportunity where you live, and I think it's because they don't realize it. And so
Right.
I'm hoping that you'll give awareness by being an example that, it's out there. You just got to look for it. Don't be dumb about it.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I know for a fact Reisner, which is another fuel company that's right here, one of their spots is right here, just hired a guy straight out of school.
Yeah.
And they're not even looking for 2 years experience like they were there for a while. They're pulling people out of school, and there is a high demand, especially if you're in the great Northwest Washington area right in here. If anybody's
Mhm.
listening, you can definitely get work up here. That everybody's still hiring, and the average start rate right now is about $35 an
Well, that's pretty awesome where I live, but for where you live, that's just being competitive, right?
hour. That's actually under. That's not. That's a lot of the places started out at 38. Like I got started out at 38,
Right.
and they promised me 40 within the first year. So
That's good. Wow,
that's.
that's great.
But I mean, the company I came from, they're topped out at 35 right now. But that's
Yeah.
after 3 years of being there. So
Yeah. And now you went right into that job, though, right out of school. So it's
I did.
to be expected. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't make that when I first started because we went and had a $5 an hour bump so they could stay competitive. And
Right.
then everybody else bumped up, and now they went back down to one of the lower paying jobs at starting out at 30 or 29. World
Yeah.
Fuel starts out at 29, and then you can get up to 35 within 3 years.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they treat you pretty good. I mean, the
Well,
package you're telling me about sounds decent, and
I'm happy
you
with it.
yeah, new equipment. They reimburse you for your gear and stuff, and it sounds like a pretty good deal. So, knowing what you know now after getting your CDL, going through this whole process, what would you tell people? I mean, where should they be looking or doing if they're going to get their CDL at this point?
Well, if you are going for your CDL, I personally would recommend trying to look for a fuel hauling company because they're everywhere. I
Right.
mean, within 100 miles of where you live, there's probably a fuel company that pulls from a tank yard,
Right.
and most likely they're probably looking for work. They're probably
Right.
looking for workers. I can't really go into any other kind of truck driving job because I don't know anything else. I mean, I cut my teeth on the truck trailers.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the fuel delivery goes, I
Yeah.
can almost guarantee that within 100 miles of where anybody lives, there's a yard somewhere that's hiring for fuel delivery.
Right.
And it does pay. That hazmat does pay. Hazmat tanker endorsement pays.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing, when I did do my schooling, I got my hazmat um, school part at half price. They cut the price because I did it at the same time I got my uh, graduate. Same time I went to school. I did
Right.
the hazmat while I was there, and the place I went through gave me a deal on getting the hazmat training.
Oh,
The,
and
the,
that reminds me too. Did you go through a program to have that paid for, or did you have to pay
oh,
for that?
I did. So, like I said, this all started at the beginning of the pandemic, and the farm I was working at shut down. So I was out of work there for I don't know about a month or so,
Right.
and I went to WorkSource, and they actually paid for my whole license and hazmat training. I think I had to pay like $50 because they didn't quite cover it all. But yeah, no, WorkSource up here in Washington hooked me up with the program, and I had to interview truck drivers. I actually interviewed you,
Okay.
um, and then I had to do two more interviews. I had to put in some footwork. I had to show them that I was serious. But no, yeah, I actually had my CDL paid for.
Right on. Yeah, that was same thing with me, but it was over 20 years ago. They called it workforce here in California.
Oh,
and
same thing.
pretty much same thing. Yeah, same thing. Go to all the different schools, interview them, find out the
Mhm.
cost information, talk to people,
Yeah,
and then just do your research basically. And
right.
the whole
You got to
time
put
I
the work in.
what's that?
You got to put the work in. You
Yeah,
can't just sit there and expect it to be handed to you. That's for sure.
yeah, you got to put the work in. I mean, that's life in general. You
Right,
got to do the work
right,
unless you want to just be lazy and go hungry. But
right. Right. That I have 5 mouths to feed, so
yeah,
that doesn't happen.
same thing happening here. I know.
Right, right,
So there it is then. My first guest on here. And I personally, to everything I've gone through over the years, I think this is all valuable stuff. I mean, I know there's people that live in areas that it may not be fueling, it may be some other industry, whether it could be someone that lives near like the docks or something where where they bring container ships in. There may be opportunities there. It may be different places in the country that produce a lot of one product or whatever. It's just you got to do the work and figure it out.
yeah.
And
Think outside the box.
exactly, yeah, yeah. And so it's not always necessary to um maybe Walmart's not one of the only jobs. I know that it's not. There's other good jobs, and you just got to go out and get after it. That's all.
Right, and that's like you were saying, you got to go out and get after it. And I'm always trying to pull my family up and forward. And when I see opportunity or I hear opportunity, I go after it. And that's what happened here. I saw something and I looked into it. I did my research, and when I called them, they asked me a few questions, offered me the job, and I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, awesome. Well,
Yeah,
thanks, Zap. I appreciate it.
sure, Don. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
All right, then. So there's the first interview, done deal. And I think it's useful information. All right, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, hey, you ever need me back on again? Let me know.
I will.
All right,
See you
all
later.
right,
Bye.
bye.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.